Welcome back to the RI Agent. We are here with Michael Coxen. Did I say that right? We just talked about it, and I said I would have guessed right. Did I say it right, Coxen?
You nailed it.
Okay, thank goodness. I always have that anxiety. I don't know about you. Michael has a podcast as well. Do you interview people? Do you have that anxiety about saying names wrong? I always jump in and I'm like, oh crap, I don't remember.
Oh, absolutely. I'm notorious. My wife always makes fun of me for being so confident when I say people's names wrong. But it's like, everything in sales, it's not necessarily what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
And people at least appreciate the effort. But yeah, good job. The name's Michael Coxen.
All right, Michael. Well, thanks for being on the show. Can you give our listeners a bird's eye view of kind of who you are in the real estate space?
Yeah, so I'm in sales. I'm a real estate broker. I have my own company in Las Vegas, work in the whole city, but I'm based out of a nice area called Summerlin up here in the mountains. In addition to being active in sales, I invest. I mentioned I'm a broker. I'm coach agents all over the country. And after overcoming, like a serious health crisis, personally, I kind of had to rebuild my life and my business from the inside out, I like to say. So now I try to help ambitious entrepreneurs who are looking to do the same. And even if you haven't had a serious crisis, how to prevent one from happening, because burnout is real. And a lot of top performing agents and investors and entrepreneurs are faced with it every day. And it's something I want to talk about.
I love it. You are absolutely perfect for the show, Michael. Mentioned all the key pillars. And before we got on the air, you mentioned that you love to talk about kind of, living holistically, which is, exactly what you were just describing. So tell us a little bit how you got started in the business and walk us into that crisis, if you don't mind.
Sure. Always had an interest in real estate. So like going back to high school, even though I didn't have any money, I would read like basic personal finance and real estate books. Some of the favorites that a lot of your clients and a lot of your guests probably talk about, Rich Dad, Poor Dad being the big one. So those books intrigued me, and that kind of hooked me at a young age. I came up from an entrepreneurial family. My brother's an entrepreneur. My father he's a police officer, but he always had a side business. So I was kind of encouraged to grow up in like a sales and entrepreneur world. Never had a fear of failure. I mean, I did, but I was encouraged, thankfully, to do my own thing. And that manifested first. I was selling advertising and sponsorships for a music magazine that my brother owned. So I've always been commission-based my entire career. Outside of a few high school summer jobs, I've always had commission-based career. And my first business I started on my own was actually with my wife when we moved to Las Vegas in 2010. And that was a graphic design studio. We did like high-end wedding invitations was our bread and butter. When we got married in Vegas, like most entrepreneurs, we were kind of looking around and seeing what the opportunities were in this city we were about to move into. And as we met all these wedding vendors, we realized no one's doing invitations on a level that we can do. My wife was in that industry in New York. Okay. And we saw the opportunity, we saw that void, and we filled it, and it just kind of took off. We started from this coincides with real estate because we started from our house, which my wife bought in 2009. And as anyone old enough to remember will recall, everything was on sale, especially in Vegas. It was such a low, depressed market. Thankfully, my brother-in-law, Seth, was a real estate agent here, and he said, you guys got to buy something. And we weren't married at the time, and I was broke as a joke. So my wife put it together, borrowed a few bucks from family to put down a small down payment, and we got into this house, and she rented it out. A year later, we moved into that house because we were paying $2,400 a month in rent in Brooklyn, and we had a mortgage for $800 in Vegas. So eventually I grew up.
$2,400 a month.
And it's a steal now, but like that old adage, you're paying somebody's mortgage, you might as well pay your own. Not to mention at the time it was less than rent, so it was a no-brainer. And that kind of got us into real estate. That was our first. We lived in the house. We did what you call a flip in, which anyone trying to get started in real estate, that's step one. For you, for me, I would buy a house with the smallest money down and fix it up while you live in it yourself. You need a roof over your head. You might as well turn it into investment. If you can tolerate some dust and some patience, go for it. So we fixed up that house on credit cards, little by little, man. Like 0% interest credit cards were our friends. Home Depot, Lowe's, etc., furniture stores, flooring places, anyone that would give us a line of credit, we took it, and we would take a year or 18 months and pay it off. And it took us a few years, and we fixed up that house. The business grew. We moved out the business. We moved it to a retail store. I was able to hire myself out of the day-to-day operation. My wife stayed in it, and I got my real estate license during this time. And I was doing SOI deals, basically. I knew no one in Vegas. I knew people in the wedding industry, and that was my first, real pillar of business. Was SOI marketing to those in my industry. And I started doing, open houses. So I tried everything: expired listings, withdrawals, FSBOs, online leads. I've done almost every single pillar one can think of for business. And what really turned the corner for me was getting mentorship. So I went from being part-time as a broker, as an agent, to being a full-time team associate on a team in Summerlin, which was the area I wanted to specialize and know the most. So to anyone looking for a plan, if you don't know what you're doing, find yourself a mentor, a team leader, a coach in your market. And I can already hear the objection. Well, they don't want to talk to me because they don't want me to compete with them. Well, what value are you offering that person? So in my case, we were on 50-50 splits, and I crushed it. And I was real happy to get half of something than all of nothing. So I was glad to give up half my commission to my team leader, and he was very glad to accept that. And I grew to be his top producer year after year after year. And with that, years of splits and years of mentorship, I built a big SOI, a big database of past clients. At that time, those leads came from Zillow. This was market-based pricing. We were getting zip code leads, again, in Summerlin. So I was focused on my niche, and I grew it. And now I run my business all off of past client marketing and referrals. Long story short, I'm now the broker owner of my own brokerage. That mentor and I became partners, and then he eventually sold my wife and I the company, and that's where we are today.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's one key thing I just heard in there is you went the paid lead route, but you didn't neglect the nurturing of those once you got them, because I think that's the trap probably a lot of people fall into, right? Where you have this source of leads, and so you kind of don't think about keeping track of your own sphere. If I understood you properly, that's key.
The sphere, to me, it's like, why would you not? I see that all the time. I look in some of my agents' database, and they just haven't called a past client in months or years. And that's a free source of business, and not even them transacting again, but the referrals they can give you. So I treated every lead and I still do. Every relationship's a lifetime relationship. People move the number varies, 7 years, 9 years. We've heard that before. Well, like Michael Coxen, 7 years from now wants a sale. So I treat my future self kindly by keeping in touch with every client, and it's all systemized. It's not willy-nilly. We do it through monthly newsletters. We do it through events. We do it through outreach, CMAs. Every touch point you can think of, we do. I have it in my system, in my follow-up boss CRM, to constantly keep in touch with clients. And it's from a genuine standpoint. That's what's most important.
Yeah, that's key. You have to think about what's providing value. And the more notes you can take about your clients as you kind of get to know them, the more questions you're asking. I would say like the Ford method, the more that you're pushing those kind of questions out, you're gonna get little tidbits and take the notes, because maybe you have a better memory than I do, but try to remember their names, the kids' names. If you can figure out when they were born, what year they're born, when you want to follow back up with them in a year or two, it's going to be really helpful. You can be like, so your kid's like 7 now, Justin's 7 now, like that kind of thing. And that's going to make a huge difference, because that's what they care about.
Exactly. The Ford method is my method. Ninja selling. I love that acronym. It's basically my only script at this point, and my only framework, I should say. But it does have to be genuine. That's what I always tell people. If you're a robot and you're just like, how's your family? How's work? And you're not asking actual follow-up questions, nor are you listening to the answers, people can smell that right away, that you're just being a sleazy salesman. Yeah. So take genuine interest in people, if that's going to be a pillar that you work on. And I think you need to. I don't care who you are in this business. If you just rely on the next online lead, you're going to have a very stressful, tough life. And you're going to be doing it until an old age with no repeat business. business, I don't envy you.
Yeah, and I think I've heard the advice never to build a business off of somebody else's platform, and
Yep.
because they can change it, it could just completely, you have no control over it, and now leads are double the expense or whatever.
Yeah. And honestly, like when you spend those Zillow leads were, I remember at one point my team leader brought into a meeting $100 bills in like stacks of 5. And he was like, every phone call is $500. Every phone call, not even like every conversion. It was like, if you screw up a call, you just burn $500. And, let's just say 1 out of 3 would convert. Like the leads themselves, the first commission was a very small profit for us. It was more about, can you convert that to a second, third, and fourth sale? That was always what my mindset was I'm not trying to get paid on the first one. I'm trying to establish a relationship on the first one and get my money back with a small profit. And that was our mindset. And the ones that followed that succeeded, and the ones that waited for the next lead failed.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wanted to go back to you mentioned phone call, like you need to call your database. Like, is this, do you have varying, like you talked about different approaches for communicating with people. So obviously newsletters, email, in person, in events, et cetera. Now, if you're trying to make a personal contact of somebody that you worked with in the past, do you always make that as a phone call?
No, I rotate all ways of communication. So phone call, text, email, mail, pop by, which I will like now. I'll send gifts. I'll send a runner to just drop off gifts, DMs, likes, comments.
Yeah.
Basically every form of communication, I try to rotate. So like I'll look at my CRM. I'm like, oh, we spoke 3 months ago about XYZ. I'll send a text. If I sent an email 3 months ago, I'll pick up the phone and call. A CMA in the mail once a year. And I do that in the mail on purpose because I just want another different form of touch point and not another email. So I rotate. It's not a strict system, but it's just like that. I look at what's my last form of communication. Let me do a different one. And that could include like commenting on social media. I've had to become disciplined with that because social media is meant to trap you in and distract you. And I definitely am guilty of that sometimes, but like, I'll do it with intention. Like, all right, I'm going on Instagram to like coordinate and talk to friends and see what's going on. As part of my outreach. And again, genuine interest. Like I don't follow every client. Like if I didn't get along with them, I don't necessarily want their business. So, because it's just disingenuous.
Yeah, totally. And that's a really good method too, because if you're posting on social media, that the algorithm will then put you in front of that person more as well if you're doing
True.
that. So
one thing I want to add on the phone calls, Matthias, about voicemail. So like it's 2026. People don't even like the phone at all, right?
Yeah.
Like I'll make text better. I agree. I don't want to get calls. In fact, if I don't have the number programmed in my phone, it goes to voicemail. Like I don't want calls like everyone else, but I do like voicemails. Like I do like if someone leaves me a voicemail, I listen to it. And I get sent a voicemail 9 times out of 10 when I call past clients. And in my voicemail, I'm sure to say, you don't have to call me back. I was just checking in or seeing if you need anything, or I was in the neighborhood, or like I heard this news I wanted to share. No need to call me back. Text me if you want, or call me if you want. Have a great day. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, hope Jeremy's doing good.
I like
right? Your 7-year-old. And it takes away the obligation of, oh man, I got to call this guy. And he went from being a resource to a chore. So I like to give him the permission not to call me back.
That's a really good tip, because that's exactly the way I have been approaching it. Is like, I just don't think people are going to want to hear. They don't want to, like, they might be happy to text me back and forth, like for that kind of, personal relationship or whatever. They're going to love to text me back and forth, but they're probably going to really not want to talk to me on the phone.
Yeah. Most people.
Yeah.
It's sad, but it's the reality. So I like to give people the option.
Sure. I know I've heard other people suggesting doing things like sending a quick video. That's another maybe angle of trying to get a little more personal communication more than just a text. Depending on how you do it, it might feel a little bit hokey, but I think there's ways to pull that off for sure.
I tried that. Tom Ferry's big on that. I've tried it. It didn't feel right for me. I don't know why. Yeah.
I think it just goes back to like, you got to make it feel genuine. Like if it just feels like weird, then you're probably going to come across as weird to the.
I think it's weird because no one does it in real life.
Yeah.
Like my
Right.
friends and I don't do it to each other. So it's not an actual form of communication. It's a sales form of communication.
Yeah.
So you don't want to stand
Point.
out like, oh, he Matthias saw this on a YouTube video or at a seminar, and now he's doing it. He's trying something new as a salesperson. That's why I don't think it worked for me. It didn't feel natural.
That makes sense. That totally makes sense.
Yeah, if somebody does it to me, if I got a client that sends me videos, hey, what's up? I'll do it back, I guess. And that's the other thing is you kind of want to communicate where they communicate, like what's their preferred method of communication.
Yeah.
I got one client who just sends me reels all day long, like on Instagram. I see him once or twice a year. We don't talk, we don't text. It's just real exchange. And I'm like, cool. That's like how we keep in touch.
Yeah.
Another one, we get hot dogs every other month on Friday. Like I know that's his thing, and I love it too. So it's like I meet people where they are and what they're comfortable with.
No, I love that. Or, the video thing could be something that, like, if you actually came across something that made you think of the person, and maybe you wanted to describe it and show them, and it makes sense that you would do that as a video, that would maybe be a route that would work better.
Agreed.
But yeah, no, that's awesome. So let's get into, I don't know if you're at this point in your story yet, but what happened with the health crisis, and then what did you have to do to kind of rebuild everything?
Yeah, I kind of glossed over that in the real estate story, but there was this transition where I was a part-time licensed agent and trying to build that business, as we all know how hard that is, while running another business with my wife. So we're both no guaranteed paycheck lifestyle. I had been doing this entrepreneur commission only thing for, it was at least 10 years at this point. I'm in my mid 30s, early 30s. And I just been burning the candle at both ends for that long. Went through a lot of stress and put a lot of pressure on myself to succeed. I think a lot of high achievers go through that. It's a gift and a curse. Like we feel like if we slow down, we're going to drown. So we keep swimming. And ultimately, if you keep swimming and don't rest, you'll drown.
Yeah.
So either way, you drown. So the third option is to take a breather and float once in a while and regain the strength and know that it's not a weakness to stop and slow down. Those are the lessons I learned from what happened to me, which was about with ulcerative colitis. It's a disease, autoimmune disease in which, ulcers occur. Your body attacks itself within your colon and intestines. And for some people have Crohn's, it goes all the way up their stomach and esophagus. For me, it was all in the lower intestine, and it was absolutely painful and brutal. It involved going to the toilet upwards of 20 times per day. And every single thing I ate just was not being absorbed, the nutrition. So I became anemic. I lost 80 pounds. I was down to 115. I'm nearly 6 foot tall. I was literally skin and bones.
Wow.
You could see my rib cage. You could see every knot in my spine. I lost every ounce of muscle in my body. I literally bottomed out. Two bottoming out stories are, one, I was showing homes in this state because I don't have good health insurance, nor do I have paid time off. And I've got a mortgage and I've got car payments, and et cetera. So I kept working. And I was showing a house. It was a 2-story house, and I just couldn't walk up the stairs. I didn't have the strength.
Wow.
I was done. And I remember saying to my clients, who thankfully were friends from the wedding industry, like, hey, go upstairs. Let me know if you have any questions. Like, and I'm literally waiting at the bottom of the stairs, like, okay, yelling at them upstairs and answering questions. I'm like, this can't go on. Like, I can't do my job. And that was a moment where it was like absolutely devastating that I let myself get to this point, and I'm trying to like work my way through it.
Yeah.
Like all I knew was like, keep fighting. And I one day was at my brother's daughter's christening, and I needed to nap because again, ran out of energy. I was able to get upstairs. I remember it was a bedroom, and I took a nap. And then I sat on a chair to put my shoes on to go back downstairs to the party. And I didn't realize it was a rocking chair. And if you lean forward in a rocking chair, it leans forward, and I had no quad muscles. So I just collapsed into myself and hit the floor. I couldn't sit up in the chair. And somebody heard the thud. My wife came running up, family came running up. And it was just like embarrassing and awful. It's such a terrible feeling. They're like, I can't even get out of a chair. Like that's how bad it got. So yeah, it was like rock bottom moment where I had to just change everything.
That's powerful. And what a place to come from to be able to share your story and get people to feel it, so that they can also, or try to be preventative, not try to get to that point. But
Yeah.
yeah, where to go from there?
It was a lot of work mentally, a lot of work physically, spiritually, emotionally. Like to recover from something like that takes a lot. So it took from the beginning steroids like prednisone, drugs to get myself just functioning. I was doing blood transfusions. I needed donated blood because I was so anemic, and I would do that and I'd feel great. I'd feel like Popeye. So like I'd have this like Western intervention, but then Eastern modalities. Took on a lot of meditation, visualization, nutrition counseling, stress management counseling, and really like self-talk. There's a wonderful book, The Hidden Messages of Water, that I changed my whole concept. So we all know, I think our bodies are something about 70% water, I want to say. Don't quote me there, but majority is made up of water, and our cells are made up of water. And in this book, the experimenter took water molecules in a little petri dish and set up different stations where some of them would receive positive enforcement. So on like a recording of, I love you, you're great, you're doing great, you're safe, everything's working out for you, positive affirmations. The other petri dish, the opposite. You're ugly, I hate you, you're a failure, etc. Repeated verbally at these little drops of water. And other things they did were visuals. They would play television visuals, happy cartoon, loving sunshine type of visuals, TV shows here. And on this one, I believe they actually used like war videos, marches. I think like even like featured Hitler and different dictators and terrible imagery. And in each one of these various experiments, the water molecules acted very differently. The water molecules on the happy side were beautiful crystals, like snowflakes that were like works of art, and they were in perfect symmetry. And then on the other side, they were like ink blot tests, just splattered all over, ugly, no symmetry, no rhyme or reason, and they look broken and disjointed. And that was the first, like, I'm a very spiritual man, but also like, where's the proof? And I know a lot of people are, what's the word I'm looking for? But they need to see the truth and see some physical evidence.
Yeah.
They're skeptics is the word I'm looking for. And this book made me a real believer from a physical standpoint, that it was actual measurable response to what we put in our body mentally as well as physically really matters as far as our health and happiness goes. And that was the big turning point. I was big on affirmations, journaling, gratitude every day, just working my way through a better mindset and mental state. And man, did it work, because one thing leads to the next. Because when you start talking positively to yourself and you start believing in yourself and you say, I can do this, and you do feel good. And then like that motivated me to go to physical therapy. I started my journey doing Tai Chi in a swimming pool with geriatric people. That was how I started my physical recovery from skin and bones, because I couldn't stand up straight. I needed the buoyancy of water so I could stand on one leg. And I was doing Tai Chi in the pool with seniors. And literally there was a woman in my class who was 100 years old. And, and I was 30 something. And then I elevated to Tai Chi, on land where I could do it standing up. And I did that for months and months, and even over a year it was. And then yoga, and, like easy, gentle yoga, and then into better yoga, power yoga. And then like I started lifting a little bit of weights, and then I got into cycling. All of a sudden it was just like this snowball of positivity just grew. And I wanted to eat better because now I'm starting to feel better and I'm seeing results. And it's just like, it's snowballed. And now it's just who I am. I'm programmed. The water cells, the cells in my body are programmed. And don't get me wrong, like I'm human. I get sad, I get anxious, all those things, but I can quickly like catch myself now, self-aware of, well, what's on my mind? Is it that client that was kind of mean to me and yelled at me, or this other agent who's acting out of line? Like I could really feel that negative energy in my body now. And I have methods to cleanse it out and reset and find myself and find my happiness. And it's just become who I am. And I encourage anyone like who's on this journey, just know there's no overnight fix. There's no drug. There's no like journaling habit that's going to fix you. But these compound effect of all these positive things do pay off.
Yeah, that's That's a powerful story. That's really cool. And, it speaks to a lot of truths I've realized and recognized over the years. And, certainly just one simple thing that, I've tried to do is just kind of surround myself by positive people as
Yeah.
well. I think, often, there can be people that will want to tear you down or just have a kind of a pessimistic outlook on life. And, that doesn't really accomplish much. But yeah, that's really cool. I
Yeah,
love that.
negative people, like you don't want to surround yourself with negative people by any means, but they do actually help you accomplish something. They do, there's a reason for them. There's no such thing as positive without negative. We can never experience what a positive friendship is like without a negative one.
Sure.
So yeah, I never resent those people anymore. I thank them for what they taught me and quickly move on as fast as I can. We should not try to avoid negativity, but rather, there's a great monk who said, someone asked him, do you ever feel emotions like anger or sadness? And he said, I do, but it's like writing on water, where as soon as the letter's written, it disappears.
Mm.
So it's not an avoidance of anger and avoidance of negativity. It's just not letting it stick to you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome. How did that then translate to your business practices? I mean, how are you
Man. Yeah.
different?
If you're a real estate agent, you know what I'm talking about. Like I mentioned, I'm a seller with unrealistic expectations who's blaming you perhaps for slow traffic when their house might be not in good shape and slightly overpriced, and they attack your marketing, right? Like a lot of times we take that personally. I still do. As I mentioned, I'm not at all perfect, but I just hold on to it less and for a shorter period of time. So if you're getting attacked by somebody, another agent, a client, like step back, hold yourself accountable. Like, did I do the thing? Am I at fault here? Is there something I can do to correct it? Or is this person bringing their baggage and their emotional stress and anxiety over the sale onto me? Like we need that to be clear. You need to dissolve your ego to be able to say, you know what, you're right. I did do this wrong if you did. And if not, to address them carefully and know that it's not a personal attack, and to separate yourself from perhaps that negative energy. Also, if it's something that's too toxic, like have the confidence to fire a client.
Yeah,
if they're truly, like you've probably done it before, if they're truly causing you grief, fire them. And the universe has a way of bringing you a better client. There's a lack and desperation energy to, I'm going to take this person's abuse and hold on to this listing to the very end because I need it. That is not a position you want to be in. You want to be a salesperson who's absolutely confident and does not need the client. They need you. I always tell people those industries, we're in a bad spot because of a lot of reasons. A lot of agents aren't respected. We need to be respected more like attorneys and accountants, and even a little bit more like doctors. And, this is not any sort of life-threatening deal we're doing, but it is an important financial and emotional deal for a lot of people. And we need to be experts who gain respect from our clients, not beg for their approval.
100%. 100%.
My lawyer doesn't beg for my approval. He's like, this is what I suggest. It's your life. What do you want to do? Oh, you don't want to listen to me? Okay, next.
Yeah, no, there was a point, there was a shift in my life or my business where, I went from, I wouldn't say I had that anything near that level, but I definitely had a number of things pile up on me. A number of difficult clients, difficult properties, problems kind of pile at the same time. It was when I kind of maybe one of the takeoffs where I got like busier than I could really handle, or something to that extent.
Yep.
And I just remember getting really down, and then once I got through it, I kind of started learning, like, what I was so 100% invested in this business, building it. I was just, all in. I cared so much about everything, which is good, right? But I was also then emotionally invested. And, like you said, like they're going to take the clients are going through an incredibly stressful time. And there's often a lot of high anxiety involved. And you getting fed up or if you getting caught up in that emotion isn't going to help them make a better decision. It's not going to help you do your job better. You're going to feel it more, which you might feel like that means you care. But at the end of the day, you kind of have to let it go and just know that you got to just do the next best thing. Is not to get too cliche with Frozen, but like that's all you can really do is
let it go.
Yeah. Is just show up, be there and make solid, rational decisions or advice, and let them choose what they want to do, et cetera. And don't get kind of too caught up in the outcome or whatever it is.
Yep. I always say I make suggestions, you make decisions to my clients, and my suggestions are educated. So I'm prepared. Like if we want to level up
Right.
professionally, we need to level up professionally. Like if the industry is going to level up, the individuals need to level up. So go into your appointment with your marketing plan, with your data, with your stats, with your comps, and understand why you're pricing it where you are and what the market's telling you, and be able to explain that to your client, and then say, okay, what would you like to do? And I let them choose. I come with 3 prices typically, and I say this is what will happen if we price at these 3 different levels. And I let the seller choose. And why do I do that? A, I empower them, but B, like if it's a problem, I go, well, that you wanted to push the price, remember? And we agreed we'd give it 2 weeks and it didn't work. So now we need to come down.
Right.
And it's all non-emotional. And still, they try to get emotional about it. But I go, hey, remember that conversation when we went over the numbers? These were the 3 options, and you chose option A. And unfortunately, it didn't work. So let's go down to option B.
Yeah, no, totally. And having that in advance, even if, that the integrity, or maybe it's just, do you want to work with everybody? If you're that person, that professional that doesn't need it, if you're coming into a multiple, if you're working, one of the agents out of like 3 that are trying to get this listing, and there's the people that will just price it too high and, tell the seller they can do it. And, and like, you kind of have to let those things go too, because, do you want that listing then? If you list it for spin your wheels for 6 months, and
Glad you brought that up. So if I know I'm competing, that's part of my presentation is, I said, I guarantee one of the agents you're talking to is going to come in here with a higher price than me. And that's called buying your listing. And they're doing it because, they really want the listing. They're desperate, and they're going to just beat you up for a price reduction later, which is actually going to cost you money versus pricing it right from the beginning. So I just want you to know that that's a tactic other agents might try on you. Yeah. And when you say that and then it happens, they're like, "Oh, it's happening. This is what Michael said." And you get the listing.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
No, there's been times where like people have argued, I'm asking for a price reduction, my sellers, and they don't want to give it. I go, cool, we can withdraw now and you can relist with another broker. Just promise me you're going to list it at the same price or higher than we are right now. And don't give them a reduction, because that would just be unfair to me. But if you want to proceed, we need to reduce, or like you can let me go and just relist at the same price with somebody else. Because I call them out. I know that's confidence. I'm like, I know I've done everything possible to market your property to the most amount of eyeballs across the globe in the best light possible. I know I've done that. And the market said, not worth it. It's not personal.
That's a really good line, because then it really makes them examine, like, do we have to go through this whole process? And
is someone really going to market it better than Michael?
Right. That's really good. I love that. The other thing I was going to say is there was a theory that I haven't fully actually owned up to or practiced. I've been kind of beta testing in the back of my head, but are you familiar with, so everybody knows the Never Split the Difference, but there was another book that came out afterwards. Is it the whole fee, the whole
fee agent? Yeah. Full fee agent.
Yeah. Then they had their theory was that if you were going up against multiple agents, that they were kind of getting multiple agents, that unless you knew you were like the top chosen one, their theory was that the seller had already chosen who they're going to work with. And they're just kind of doing their due diligence because they feel like they need to. But at the end of the day, they're probably just going to use all the data they gathered from 3 different people and then just use the one they were going to go with anyway. And so that person was basically saying, like, I'm not going to go on those appointments. I'm going to decline, or I won't do my analysis, my like market prep suggestions until you've agreed to work with me, more or less. Like,
I don't do that, but I believe in some of it. That's confidence, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because it makes people think, what does he know that we don't know?
Because, we, pricing strategy, market prep, that's a huge part of what we do. And, if you're giving that away for free.
Also, vendors, I've learned the hard way not to give out all my vendors. Like if somebody's house needs electrical work or it needs a pre-inspection or whatever, I'm like, you get all that comes with me. So when we sign up together, I'll have all my vendors come out, fix your house, get it ready to sell. Because I've had my handyman go fix a house that I never listed and went to somebody else. They take all my suggestions. So there's a fine line where if somebody's like, what improvements do we need to make? I'll say, I see a few, or I see 1 or 2 that I would definitely suggest, and we'll tackle that, as soon as we list, we'll get that handled. I know exactly what to do.
Yeah. It's a tough one, especially if you're feeling desperate. But that's definitely the goal, the mindset you should get to, is having that kind of confidence and having that abundance to not, be fearful to lose the lead or whatever. And
Yeah. And that takes back to like getting my journey of affirmations and visualizations and confidence building, meditation, prayer, journaling, all of that, building myself up physically and mentally to be strong and confident and like to truly value the life we have. When you get ill, and I've had family members get even worse and far more sick than me, unfortunately, and not recover. And you see that and you're like, oh my God, like tomorrow's not promised.
yeah,
Do I want my last day to be in this situation, this stressful situation? And that's why I'm really big on like, make money, but live well below your means and enjoy your life. I work with a lot of top performing agents who, I think you touched upon it in your own journey, Matthias, that you work so hard that it's like it becomes who you are.
Yeah.
I've had one coaching client say real estate is a drug. And I'll always remember that comment. And she was very frank with me about it. She's like, oh yeah, the dopamine, the rush, the money. She's like, I feel like a drug dealer / addict. And like, I need my next sale. And not because I need the money, because I need the endorphins. Right. And I'm like, okay, like that's how you're like, you tax your adrenal system that way. Just like if you were addicted to cocaine, like you're gonna tax it yourself out. So why can't you stop? And that's a deeper thing you need to get into. I come from a background of addictive personalities. I've smoked cigarettes. I've done drugs. I've drank a lot. I have a history of I was never thankfully fully addicted, but I know that feeling, and I've had to fight those things back. And I'm not saying you can't have a drink or you can't sell this house, but like get into the reasons. Why do you feel you need it? And that's a subconscious programmed thing from childhood that you need to uncover and like get to the reason why you feel. And a lot of times it's like safety, we say financial freedom and abundance, but actually what we're saying is I'm afraid I'm going to be poor if I stop. I'm afraid that I'm going to lose all my clients if I don't take this one listing. I'm afraid that I'm going to end up homeless or end up back where I was in this bad living situation or bad relationship I was in. Like there's reasons we do things that are subconscious that we don't even address. And it's usually around fear. It's not about getting more. A lot of people are afraid to lose what they have. So they keep going. So that's why I think keeping like small overhead is wise. And most importantly, like keeping time for yourself to mellow out and self-evaluate constantly. Like, why do I do this? Why am I in this business? And what's it all for? These are heavy questions that, I try to explore with my clients and with myself every day.
Wow. Well, that's awesome. I know that's not the approach a lot of people take, and it's a deep, fulfilling approach. I love this.
Dude, a lot of shit's happened to me, man. And like, I want it. I don't want bad things to happen to everybody, for them to realize these things that the lessons I've learned.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've dropped 1 million golden nuggets already, but I do have that question. So do you have a couple nuggets for us?
Yeah. Number one, health is wealth, on the theme we're talking about. The richest man can't buy good health. So I encourage you to calendar block. Now, that's a weird pivot, but calendar blocking is a golden nugget of mine, and that includes my wellness. So we hear it a lot in real estate coaching: your hour of power, your prospecting, your follow-up time, this is when I return voicemails, this is my appointment block. A lot of guys, they live that maybe Mike Ferry or other famous coaches calendar blocking life. But I do that, and I also do naps and going to the driving range and my family breakfast on Sunday and going to the gym. And a date with my wife. Like I treat my calendar like it's sacred, because it's my time. It's a reflection of my time. So a lot of people, I ask anyone out there right now, like pull up your Google Calendar, your Apple Calendar, whatever. And what you see is your priorities in life and what you are making your number one. So if it's just work, then you need to make some changes perhaps. And if it's all kids, and you feel like you're neglecting work, well, then make a change in that direction. And there's no judgment. If you want to do one deal a year and be the best mom or dad and there for every single thing, I respect that to no end. But just be conscious of my time. Is it being spent in a way that benefits my goals and my happiness? And your calendar will reveal that.
Yeah, I love that. That's definitely something that I want to get better at is even like weekly reflection about how the week went and how the time where it was spent, and if that was in line with like what my ideal week would be, and then try to plan forward that way.
That's great. I'll give you one more little golden nugget. As you
Mhm.
reminded me, my morning journal routine now is 5 things I'm grateful for. So that's more of a reflection on the day prior. What good
Mhm.
things happened? Because so many things happen and so many bad things, or we don't complete projects like every single day. It reminds me, oh, look at what I actually did yesterday that I'm really grateful for. And it could be as simple as a walk with my dog, but like that reminds me of look what I've accomplished yesterday. And then I do today's wins, which is like top 3 things I intend to win today. It could be a listing appointment I'm going on. It could be a meeting I'm holding with a client or my agents. Or again, a win today is getting to the sauna and having 20 minutes in the sauna. And it just like sets my priorities up for the day of what I would define how today would be considered a successful day when I reflect on it tomorrow. So I do it on a daily basis, but I do like weekly as well, for sure. But like write it down and put it in your calendar. Like if, hey, I
Yeah,
want to get to the gym 3 times this week, don't just say that. It's not going to happen. Put it in your
right.
calendar and tell your buddy and tell your spouse, like, I'm going to the gym Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Sign up for a class, and then you have that extra, get into a tribe, and you'll have that extra motivation, that extra accountability
Yeah.
by, all you have to do is show up, and then,
Couldn't agree more. I lead a trail run every Thursday with Lifetime Fitness in Summerlin, and I lead a bike ride every Saturday. So that's on my calendar, and I do it. I'm a lead, but also like there's a group that's relying on me.
yeah,
Even if I wasn't a lead, it's the same group of friends, and everyone's like, "Where are you? What's going on?" And the social circle is wonderful. I get great exercise.
yep,
I'm committed to my health and being out in nature, and I've picked up like a lot of clients that way,
yeah.
being who I am, not forcing it.
100%. Yeah, it will. There's something about the bond you build, like kind of
Mm.
enduring things together, like
Yeah,
going through
doing hard stuff
hard
together.
challenges, and it's a different bond that it's hard to
Yeah.
replicate. And so yeah, it naturally becomes a great lead source, and definitely it's just an all around win. So I mean, I think that's especially if you're moving to a new city or something, I think that's like just such a
Yeah.
great little hack to do, is
Yep.
to find that kind of thing.
That's a golden nugget right there.
But yeah, no, those are great. What about books? You've mentioned a couple. Do you have one that would be fundamental that you think everybody should read, or just one that you're currently really enjoying?
Yeah, it was my top book of 2024, but I probably also top book of 2025 because I continuously recommend it, and that's Die with Zero with
Mm,
Bill Perkins. The concept is, to spend all your money before you die. Like
yeah,
the day you die, you spent your last dollar, and well, that's crazy. And yeah, it's crazy, and it's kind of more of a great headline. But his point is not just financially; it's die with zero in you, die with no regrets, die with no I should have's. And he breaks down like whatever decade you're in your life, whether in your 20s or your 80s, you're going to be able to do certain things in your 80s with your money that you couldn't do in your 20s. And you can do things in your 20s with your health that you can't do in your 80s. And it makes you reflect on where you are in that journey and where you should be spending your money on what experiences, and not just saving it all. And
yeah,
there's tons of back research, but like for example, if you're a parent right now and you're saving real hard to give your kids money when you die and to set them up for a future, well, the reality is you might not make it till 80 or 90. And you may be withholding positive experiences you could have with your kids today. So it's about finding that balance of living life to the fullest. Like, would your kids rather inherit 100 grand, or would they rather go on a nice vacation with you every summer and actually spend it with you and build memories with you? And I argue, and he argues in the book, that's all about that memory and experience, not about the cash.
yeah. And I think there's also, it can be, inheriting wealth can also have its own problems for your offspring. So I think it's also important to set your kids up to be successful, and successful as in, I think, just being passionate about what they do. I think that's like, I think like if they're just not really accomplishing much or whatever, which I think can happen, doesn't have to. If you kind
Yeah.
of think your whole life is taken care of going forward, I think that's definitely another element there.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, and that's prevalent. A lot of rich kids end up in deep trouble addicted and really lost without any drive. So yeah, this book covers all of that in a good way, finding that balance.
I have a friend that loves it, and I haven't read it yet, so that I'll have to put that on my list.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you for that. If people are interested in following you for more, what website, social media, podcast, where can they find you?
Everything's under basically my name. So my website's michaelcoxen.com. I'm on all social media at Michael Coxen. My podcast is The Mindful Agent, available wherever you get podcasts. And just like you, we take a holistic approach to finding that intersection with life and real estate.
I love it. Michael, thanks you so much for being on the show. It's been a lot of fun. I'm sure we could talk for like 6 more hours.
Absolutely, I could. Maybe next time. Thanks for having me, Matthias.
Thanks for listening to the REI Agent.
If you enjoyed this episode, hit subscribe to catch new shows every week.
Visit reiagent.com for more content.
Until next time, keep building the life you want.
All content in the show is not investment advice or mental health therapy. It is intended for entertainment purposes only.